y'all, today I am in southern Indiana and I have the chance to check out the all-new 2025 Ford Expedition. And we've driven on-road, we've driven off-road, and I have two videos over on the Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk YouTube channel to talk about that. So this is not going to be that. I will link to both of those below. Be sure to check those out. In this video, I am going to do a tech check. And if you saw my tech check on the Lincoln Navigator, I'm starting in the same location. That's right, I am going to start with this right here. So let's take a closer look at this week's car du jour, the Ford Expedition. Similar to the Lincoln Navigator, this has the split tailgate, but unsimilar to the Lincoln Navigator, you've got a black bit right here. And I've had a lot of questions on social media about, is there a body colored option? Why would Ford do this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, no, there's not a body colored option. That's not to say there won't be a body colored option in the future, but for right now, black is what you got. So you've got a gray vehicle, black tailgate. You've got a white vehicle, black tailgate or liftgate. And the reason why Ford did that is to showcase the fact that this is a split liftgate tailgate situation. Now, what's really cool about this is you have the ability to open it from the back here. I've got the key fob, and if you hit this twice, it will open your rear area. Now, I have it set up in the head unit to open both at once, but you can set it up to open just the top liftgate area and not the tailgate area. You can then double click and it will close both. You cannot drive with just the tailgate open. The tailgate is always going to have to be closed if the liftgate is closed. You can leave the liftgate open, but you cannot have the tailgate open and not the liftgate, if that makes any kind of sense. But I think this is a really nice feature for people who are going to be putting things back here that might be rolling around, baseballs, softballs, soccer balls, athletic gear, so that you can set it to open just the liftgate area, and then you don't have stuff falling out when you open both. So I want to talk a little bit about something else going on back here, and you know what? I'm going to change the camera angle. Now, one of the really nice things Ford has done is they have added power operation for your seats back here. Now, I should point out this is a top-tier platinum trim, which probably means this may not be available on your lower trim vehicles, but we drove the King Ranch yesterday and we were in the Tremor, and all three of these vehicles have your power operations for your third row seat. So what I really like about this is that you can press the button, the 3L, and the seat will go down. Then you can press the 3R and the right seat will go down, and it is a one press operation. You don't have to stand here and hold it. That is really well done. Then to get them to go back up, you can either hit them singly, or there's a nice little center button that will push them both up at the same time. This button also works for the down operation. So I like the fact that they have made this easy. Additionally, they have your power down buttons for your second row. It's not power up, but at least it's power down. So if you wanted to put a big piece of furniture, plywood, something back here, it's just really easy to get all the seats to go down for a flat load floor. Now, while we are back here, I will also show you that you do have some USB-C ports. You have a 12-volt jack, and you have a regular plug back here to plug some things in if you are going to do a tailgate. Now, let's go inside and see what the tech looks like there. Now, if you saw my Lincoln Navigator video, this is going to look the same, but different. So you do have a panoramic screen here and a large screen here, but yeah, this panoramic screen does not go all the way to the A-pillar on this side. So let's talk a little bit about what is going on here and what is going to be different. So first off, as you can see, this was not set up for my driving position because this is blocking my view. So first up, we'll talk about how you adjust the steering wheel. So you hit, similar in the Navigator, you hit this button right here. You will get a pop-up there that shows you your adjustments. Then you can come over here and hit your steering wheel, and then yeah, I'm gonna move this down. And this does have the squircle steering wheel so that it is easier to see over the top. And I want to adjust that in a little bit, get that a little bit further away. So this is essentially what you have going on, and these are familiar. with your steering wheel, and then your pedal adjustments will also be through this place here. So then you just go in and then you go down and you can do your pedal adjustments. What is not through here, and this is what's different than the Navigator, are your mirror adjustments. And I'm going to say thank you for that. They put your mirror adjustments over here in a physical location. And Ford said that the reason for that was because people who are driving the Expedition are probably going to be towing more than the Navigator, and therefore they're going to be adjusting their mirrors more than the Navigator. So having the physical adjustments is just easier and makes more sense. I'm going to say the physical adjustments are easier and just make more sense, period. So maybe I really want that for the Navigator too. All right, so let's take another look at this. So again, this only goes halfway through. It doesn't go all the way. So you do have one adjustable module right here where you can change what is in that central location. And in order to do that, you go into here and then you can see you can put your fuel economy, your gauges, your media, your off-road status, tire pressure, towing status, trailer status. Okay, so we don't have either of those. But, I typically like my fuel economy in there. But your gauges, I don't know. I typically like my fuel economy in there. I'm going to say I've been idling for a while, so this is not my fuel economy. Please don't take it as such. So, yeah, okay, so we've got that adjustment. This does have the new Ford digital experience, which means it's got Google built in. That's what that means. So you do have Google Maps, Google Play, Google Assistant, and then you also have, the quick tips and some various and sundry apps that you can download. You can use YouTube when you are in park. There are also games that you can use when you are in park. But here's a really cool thing. You also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, I do have a quick TikTok video that I did showcasing Apple CarPlay using somebody else's phone, and I'm going to insert that right here. Hey all, today I am in the Ford Expedition, and I managed to conscript somebody else's phone so that I could go over Apple CarPlay with you. This is how it appears on the 13.2-inch screen. It is very swipeable. I find that it is very interactive, and there isn't really a lot of lag going on between your wireless connection between the phone and Apple CarPlay. Now, one of the interesting things that I discovered just now is I went into Apple Maps and I typed in a destination to Apple Maps, which is not my home and really not anywhere near here, because you'll see it's going to take me 15 hours to get there. But the interesting thing that I saw was that on this map, it shows Apple Maps. I didn't think that it did that. I figured it would revert to the Google Maps standard. This has Google built in on it, and so I figured it would revert to that, but no, it actually shows your Apple Maps through here. And then what you can do if you want to go into your music, your Apple Podcasts, your this is not my phone again, let's be clear, go into your whatever you, but hey, my person is listening to my Car Stuff podcast, thanks for that. But you can go in and do whatever you want on here, and then it's going to show your Apple Maps up there. So I think that's actually really kind of cool. Now, you can also go into the native system, and okay, it's still showing my Apple Maps here because I've set my destination through Apple Maps. But, if I wanted to go into Apple Maps and say, we'll just cancel out of this, then it will revert to the Google Maps. So you can see in the screen, that's the native Google Maps. So this does have Google built in, which means that you can also do things like, hey Google, set my temperature to 69 degrees.
Okay, changing the temperature for the driver to 69 degrees.
Hey Google, turn on my heated seat.
All right, turning on the seat heater for the driver.
So you can do some temperature controls and things like that through your Google Assistant. That is a subscription fee thing. I know there's a free trial. I don't know what it is. I need to ask that question. But you do also have Apple Maps and Apple CarPlay, so you can go in and do your podcasts and things through that while you are also then using your Google Voice Assistant. So again, if you're in Apple CarPlay and you don't have Apple CarPlay set up in your Apple Maps, you revert to the Google Map here. But I just thought that was really interesting. I wanted to talk a little bit about Apple CarPlay because I thought it was cool that you could set your destination in Apple Maps and then it would show up there and then you could do other things here. So, but if you have your destination set in Apple Maps, your Google Maps, your native system Google Maps go away. All right, I feel like I've rambled on a little bit, so yeah, that's just a quick look, a really long look actually, at Apple Maps and Apple CarPlay in the Ford Expedition. All right, that's pretty cool, right? Now, as you can see, we do have the Google system in play right now, and it has our instructions to get back to the hotel here. And if you went to the home screen, it would show it here. So this is all the Google Maps as opposed to what you just saw in Apple CarPlay using Apple Maps. But I love the fact that you can have, Apple Maps show up on this screen here. And then, you can do something else with this in terms of whatever you would like to be having on here. So, you know what, we'll do that for now so that you can see that it looks different. Ooh, Dolly Parton. No, no Dolly Parton. I'm like, where's my music? This, as you can tell, I did not set this up. 90s on 90s is going to be better than I think anything else. Not that we're listening to music right now. I just wanted to show you, you can have your music here and then your map still shows up right there. So, and somebody in the Lincoln video asked me if that was an awkward location, and I don't think so. So you're looking here, but you just kind of give it a quick glance and your map shows up there. It's in many ways much easier than like moving your face down here. So I like the location of that, and I think it's relatively well placed. It's well placed. I'm just gonna say it's well placed. And you can have your audible on there as well, so it'll tell you to turn right, turn left, cops ahead, that kind of stuff. Something else I want to point out, people kept saying, well, you can't see over it, it blocks your view. No, this right here is the hood line. Just like I'll go up just a little bit, but you can see, like, that's the hood line. It is not blocking my view. I'm a shorty. If it's not blocking my view, I can guarantee you it is not going to block your view either, unless you're like reclining your seat. I am TBD on how I feel about the fact that this doesn't go all the way through, because I really liked that on the Navigator, but I can understand why Ford would want to differentiate between this and the Navigator. It just, I don't know, it almost looks undone. But you do have a bigger screen here, and you do have some physical controls for your volume. However, your climate controls are going to be through here. And one of the interesting things that we found out when we were we were driving Tremors off-road, and you do have several drive modes available in here. And on the Tremor, you have one additional drive mode. On this is the Platinum, you have your normal, tow haul, eco, sport, slippery, and then you have your off-road mode. So we were in off-road mode most of the time in the Tremor, and what happens is this screen pops up here. And one of the interesting things, so I'm getting back to the climate, one of the interesting things we found out is this feature is not available when the camera is in operation. So if we were trying to change our climate while we were doing the off-road and we found we had to X out of the camera, then get into here, and then like reactivate the camera by hitting the button. So it was a little bit of a cumbersome thing to not have the physical controls, because I didn't want the air blowing on my face. Like if I just wanted to adjust the temperature, like I could do that through here, turn on my heated seat, whatever. But I just found that I couldn't, yeah, you can't, like, the air is blowing on my face. I don't want the air on my face. So interesting aside for you. All right, but you know what, while we're here, let's talk about this as well. So in the off-road mode, this is kind of cool. So off-road mode, standard, your off-road status will take the place of that central screen right there, and then you get the camera, the forward-facing camera that pops up here. And I really, really like this camera in an off-road situation because the wheel lines will move as you move your wheel, and that will help you stay on path and make sure, like, you can see exactly where your wheel is going to hit. So if you see a rock up ahead, you can like really fine tune and maneuver around that. So I found those to be really helpful. Now you can change your camera angles. So you can do an around view. You can do, more of the split view. So you do have some options in terms of how you view things. And you know, if you're going to do the trailer, this will help you back up to the trailer. But I found for off-roading, I really appreciated just this front view. And what I did is then I would turn my side mirrors down and back to look at my rear tires. So that for me was an optimal location. Now, the other thing I'm going to point out is when you are driving off-road, you get close to things a lot, you're going to want to shut off the sensors, and you can do that right there. So super helpful stuff. So if you are not like, let's go ahead and put this in, we'll put it back in normal driving mode. So if you're not in off-road mode and you hit the camera button, this is what's going to pop up. So you do get the front view, but you don't get the tire tracks, and you get your around view over here. So I really like this camera. I feel like it's very high def, very clear, and it is, you know, it's going to be really easy to see when you're maneuvering in tight spaces. So I appreciate that. Something else you're going to have in the Tremor model that you don't have in the Platinum is going to be the crawl control. So there's a little button that's kind of like here instead of this that you press, and it allows for one pedal driving in slow situations. And so essentially you can just use your gas pedal to speed up or slow down depending on how much pressure you're putting on the gas. So that's that. You can turn off your traction control. That's your camera, your hazards. This is your park assist button. And then you have, this is really important, this is your auto stop start. You can turn that off right there. So what else? What else do we want to talk about? You know what? Of course, we are going to talk about this right here. This is your wireless charger, and I think this is more of a phone holder than a charger. I actually had my phone on this charger for about 2 hours yesterday. I was at 10%, my battery was dying, and I literally put my phone in here, turned it on airplane mode, closed all my apps, did all the things to be able to help it charge faster. After it was nearly 2 hours, I only got my phone to 20%. 2 hours and I gained 10%. That is not a fast charging solution. So if you really need to charge, yeah, you're going to want to look at this right here, and you're going to want to bring a cord. Just keep a cord in your car. You're just keep a cord in your car. It heated up my phone. It did not overheat my phone. Now, there is one big new feature that we have in this vehicle that we did not have in the Navigator at all, and this is really cool. You will see this right here that says slide, and that means that you can move this console forward and backward with the press of a button. So what's really nice is you move it back and you have space like to put a grocery bag, to put a small handbag, or well, actually a large handbag will fit here, groceries, takeaway, whatever. You can store something right here. You also have a really large space in here to store some things. But what's really cool is this kind of has a hidden cubby then, because this right here isn't moving. It's only this moving. So you could put something in here and then slide this forward and cover it up. So it's just another little space to store some things, and I really like that. So you've got some good tech here. You've got some really good tech here. You've got some interesting tech here. I'd be very curious to see what your thoughts are of the half screen versus the full screen in the Navigator. Be sure to check out my video. I will link that up here. But you know what? Let's hop in the second row seat really quick and check out some of the tech stuff we've got there. Now, as we are getting ready to go into the second row, I will point out you do have power running boards. So that is really nice. Again, platinum trim. And when you come back here, you do have your own climate controls. So you can actually adjust the vent speed as well as the temperature, and you have heated seats back here. Your air vents are going to be up here. You have some lights, and you know what? The one weird thing that I don't see is you don't have any window shades. It's a little bit weird. Low tech thing that I feel like a vehicle that is probably going to hold a family should have. Now, I do want to point out, I didn't have the chance to play with it at all, but there is an option on these vehicles for a tech holder. And essentially it fits onto the back of the seat, and it will hold a tablet, iPhone, whatever. So in lieu of rear seat entertainment, it allows you to bring your own tech with you. And in many cases, I feel like that's a good idea because a rear seat entertainment is going to add like $2,000 or something to the bottom line, and it's going to be less than that. And then you have your own tech with your own apps and everything already loaded on it. And what's really convenient then is you have your USB-C ports right here. So if you put your devices here, then you have an easy way to plug in to keep them charged while you are watching. All right, finally, let's do a quick look at the third row. These seats are actually really comfortable, and I think it's wide enough that you could actually fit 3 of me back there. Although I will say in the video I did on Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, I called this the I Hate You seat because this is not comfortable. It's not comfortable. Your outboard seats are comfortable. This is where you put somebody you don't like. But when you move into the third row, you do have like a power recline for your seats here. You've got your USB-C ports here, and you do have your air vents in the headliner. And you know what? You have really nice big windows here, which I definitely appreciate. And you do have USB-C ports on both sides and the recline on both sides. You know, and the one other thing that I do want to point out while I'm back here is this does have the 40-20-40 split fold. So when we were looking at the power folding option, you know, it put 2 of these down. So it put these 2 down and then this one down. But you can have the option of just putting this down, but that is a manual operation. And you literally pull on this tab and then pull that down. And then that will allow you to put like skis or some like paddles for a kayak or something through here. And you can still keep your outboard seats. So kind of a nice little feature. In all, you have a lot of high-tech and low-tech features that make this new Expedition really nice. All right, that is what I have for you today in the tech check of the 2025 Ford Expedition. I'm not really going to get into a lot of driving impressions because I do have that on the Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk channel. But the one thing that I really do want to say is even though this is a large 3-row vehicle, it drives a lot smaller than you think. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time with a new car du jour.